Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to the Anfield Talk podcast. I am your host, Ben, and today we are joined once again. It's been a while, hasn't it, mate? But you're back now, which is good. How are you, Mo? You good?
Yeah, I've been good. I've been good. Still been keeping up with Liverpool, so it's been good. It's been good, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. And obviously, you had your time away from the podcast. And for those wondering, he didn't sack it off because we weren't good. He had Ramadan, so I hope you had a good one, mate, with your family and your friends and that. So yeah, that's where he's been. But yeah, guys, make sure on the way in you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we're just gonna have a bit of a recap today because we haven't done a podcast regarding the last two games. The Fulham one, I just think everybody had things on. The Brentford one, I went to it, so it was impossible to get it out on the day. So we're just going to briefly, I say very briefly for 10 minutes, talk about those two results. We're going to talk all things Alexis Mac Allister, a couple more players that might be coming in. We're going to be talking about the new sporting director that's looking like he might come in, but then there's been a bit of a conflicting report. It's pretty hard to tell what's going on with that. But guys, make sure you get involved with the comments, smash the like button, and yeah, let's get straight into it, Mo. So yeah, the first game we just need to briefly touch on, mate. I mean, to be fair, I guess we can do these at the same time because it was pretty much the same game. We pretty much saw the same thing in both games. The first one was a 1-0 win, a Mo Salah penalty. And the second one was a 1-0 win with a Mo Salah goal at the back post from Virgil van Dijk's knockback. So, yeah, if you just want to talk about these two games briefly, mate, from your point of view, not the best performance, wasn't it, mate? But the 3 points is all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess the overriding like benefit that we got from both games was the clean sheets. I mean, since we converted to this new system where we're playing this three at the back and build up, and maybe Robertson's less advanced, but Trent is more advanced, and etc. We've been quite leaky in terms of the goals we conceded. You look at the Spurs
Yeah.
game, you look at the Forest game. Conceding goals has been an issue, especially in transition, especially and also the way we defend our set pieces also. But these two games, continuing with that new system, we've been able to not only create more chances but also keep a clean sheet, which is the most important thing. The Fulham and Brentford game were two different, were similar kind of storylines in the sense that we scored a goal in the first half, and we were able to keep the clean sheet. But I feel like Fulham, in terms of the way they created chances, were much more penetrative. So they were able to arrive in our box much more than Brentford did. I feel like Brentford had more settled possession. They had more periods, long spells where they were able to keep the ball, but I don't think they really create that much from it. You look at the stats: one shot on target, only 5 shots. Whereas I think with the Fulham game, they were able to arrive into our box and get shots off. You saw Alisson made a fantastic save in the Fulham game, and they were able to arrive at the box and create those more clear-cut chances. So for me, the Fulham and Brentford game had their slight differences. I feel like Fulham we were much more confident. I mean, the Brentford game much more confident, much more secure defending wise, whereas Fulham we weren't. But like I said, the most important thing in both games was that we got the clean sheet, because that was necessary after converting to the system where we started leaking more goals. But yeah.
Yeah, spot on, mate. I agree with what you're saying. And I think the Brentford one more than anything as well. I think Klopp touched on it at the end of the game. He was just so pleased with how we defended set pieces because we know that that's one of Brentford's biggest strengths. And that's what they played for every single time. You know, one of their players got the ball, they were going down, trying to get a free kick. Every single time they put a corner in, a free kick, we dealt with it. And I think the centre backs, I think there's a couple moments where Canate looked a bit shaky, but in terms of dealing with balls into the box and stuff like that you've been alluding to, I think in the Brentford game especially, we were brilliant. And I think Klopp said after the game, that the night before they'd done, or a couple of days before, they'd done the best set piece session they've ever done in terms of defending the set pieces, and then they went and put it into action against Brentford, which was really good. But yeah, there's not really much else to say about that. I guess it's old news. I don't want to talk about those games too much in this stream. But what I will ask you, mate, is last time we spoke, you said top four was on, and we laughed at you. And now we find ourselves 1 point behind United, who do have a game in hand, but they're absolutely rubbish, aren't they, mate? So is top four still on?
100%, and it's quite insane the way it's gone, because initially when I said it was off the back of those wins against the Newcastle and Everton, where it looked like we were going back on track. We had quite a bad spell with the Bournemouth defeat, the Man City defeat, the Chelsea draw. It was a horrible, spell, and the United were winning games. So it looked like top four was our reach again, but I wasn't on the podcast, and so I wasn't able to get ripped apart for that. But like it. But now again, 6 wins in a row, 8 games unbeaten, going into the last 3 games of the season, and it legitimately top four is a genuine opportunity. Probably the most clearest opportunity we've had since the beginning of the season, and it goes back to the overall point that I was saying that, like I said, over the last few years, over the last decade, probably the fight to get fourth, sometimes even third place, has never ever been a straight line. It's never ever been a straight line upwards. You don't have to be consistent to get fourth place. You don't have to be consistent to get third place. Sometimes you just have to make sure that in the right periods, in the right time, you're able to gain that momentum. And you look at the form. We have the best form in the tops I guess from second to sixth place. We have the best form, and it's because of that now we're able to fight and compete for fourth place. Spurs the last year they went on a fantastic 12-game unbeaten run and they were able to secure fourth place. We can also do the same thing. Also, it would be, if we were to win the last 3 games, I think that would be 12 games unbeaten, if I'm not wrong, which would be a
Yeah, because
fantastic.
we drew the two, didn't we, before this run of form? So we obviously drew the one against Arsenal, the one against Chelsea, and now we've just
That's
dropped 6 wins
yeah.
in a
It would
row.
be
It's mad.
11 games unbeaten, which would be quite a strong start into the season. And it could, in my opinion, if we win the 3 games, we get the four. Because I don't think United, especially with the form they're in right now, with the injuries they have right now, I don't think they will. I don't see them. I don't see them getting the 3 points, the 9 points they need. Because even if they were to get 8 points, and we win all our games, we would go through in goal difference, which
Mo,
would be quite remarkable.
you're sucking me in again, mate. You are sucking me in again.
Be quite a remarkable achievement. Quite remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the United game with my brother. We went out for bank holiday because he'd been working all week, and we thought, you know what, let's go for a few drinks and see what happens. And if West Ham did a job, then it's a great night. If not, we've had a few drinks. It's a decent night out. Yeah, it was absolutely hilarious the way that they won that game. De Gea basically punching the ball into his own net. United just completely looked off it, and
Even
I think,
just quickly, the whole game in general looked just quite poor from United. Even the Brighton
yeah,
game, they were quite. De Gea made a mistake, and in the last game, the Brighton they gave away a last minute penalty. So it was unfortunate in the way they lost the game, but the performances in both games was abysmal from both them. So they look like a team out of form right now, and so
yeah,
for us,
and
that's a team in form. So
United fans as well, like it doesn't, they're not speaking with the same confidence that they once had. I mean, I don't know if you know, mate, from the top of your head, but how many points ahead of us were they at one stage? Was it like 15 maybe at one stage?
they had the capacity because it was a few games, but they had the capacity to be nearly 12, 15 points ahead of us. Yeah, they
Yeah,
did
and it
before
shows
these two.
like,
Yeah, so if they won their games in hand, they would have been 14 points ahead of us. I think 12 to 14 points ahead of us, which is quite insane. So, but I always say this. People ask me. Points on board is it cannot be underestimated because you look at the 2 games they had now. Brian and Western did both of them, and they're in a bad period. If you're able to have points on board, much more because you already secured those wins. Whereas you never know when those games had to come. Those games had to come in when you're in a bad spell. If the Brighton game came when they were flying a few months ago and Rashford was scoring all those goals, perhaps they would have won that game. There's a very good chance they would have won that game. Or maybe if the West Ham game, maybe the West Ham game came a few weeks ago where West Ham were horrible and United were in good form. Also, points on board was always, in my opinion, preferable. So I'm glad we had those points on board. I'm glad we were able to capitalize when United weren't in form, and top four looks legitimately on track right now.
100%, mate. I mean, look, we all said, didn't we, at the start of this run, all we can do is our job and then see what happens, see if anybody else can do us a favor. And United in their last 3 games have scored 1 goal and lost 2 of them. So, like I said about United fans, they're not speaking with that same arrogance and confidence that they once had, looking down, seeing us in like 8th or 9th or wherever we were at one stage.
Just quickly, imagine the narrative if Klopp was able to. I think it was left quickly, but the narrative if Klopp was able to finish ahead of Ten Hag would be.
I pressed the wrong button. I keep
No,
myself.
it's not. I
Go on,
didn't
Cole.
say in terms of narrative and the storyline. If somehow Klopp was able to finish ahead of Ten Hag and get that fourth place, and perhaps United were to drop out. The whole narrative and the way we've been speaking about Liverpool compared to the way we've been speaking about United would all look like. Everyone in the media would look like idiots. Everyone would look like idiots because this was meant to be a season where Seven Syndrome Klopp he's not able. Klopp wasn't up for the task, or one bit of challenges and Klopp it faltered. And whereas United, where Tanaga, he's upped the mentality, he's changed the dressing room culture, he's changed the environment,
Yep.
he's settled new players. But all of that seems to now be in doubt if somehow Klopp was to finish ahead of Tanaga, because mentality wise, I mean, for me, I always struggle with the point when people say, I mean, I don't want to speak too much about United, but I always struggle with the point when people say Tanag has changed the mentality and the culture at United,
Yes.
because this is a team that's lost all their away games in the top 9 teams. I mean, if you can't go away from home and go to a top team and get a producer result, there's no way you've changed your mentality. I mean, Oli was able to do that. Now Ten Hag, so for me, no
How
more.
many times have they conceded 5 or more goals this season as well? It's at least 3, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
they can see
what's
that City,
yeah? I mean,
yeah, City,
I don't know
Liverpool,
how
yeah,
you
yeah.
can say that you've changed the mentality when every time they come up against a top team away from home,
They
that they don't
absolutely, and
win.
it's not,
And
it's not even it's not even a scenario where, because you can go to City and lose, you can go to Brighton and lose. Arguably, I mean, what better teams have done that, but it's the performance and the mentality. These players look like when they get mentally tested, they collapse. And for me, it comes
yep,
down to a lack of quality. The one reason why I always said that that Klopp, that the reason why we can get tougher is because regardless of maybe types of intensity, the application, or out of form players, or players decline, is that we still have players who've been there and done that. We still have a plethora of experience within the squad, and we still have high quality players. I mean, we still have Mohamed Salah, we still have Virgil van Dijk, we still have Alisson Becker, we still have Trent Alexander-Arnold Robertson. These are quality world class players that still exist within our squad, and we also have the benefit of having the right conditions and the right environment, in the sense that we still have Klopp, they're still around the same place. So for me, it's just about when we're gonna get that click and that switch back on, and it looks like we've done that, and it looks like we've actually done that. So for me,
yeah,
if we gain momentum, we're unstoppable. Whereas with United, because credit, I mean, some leeway to Tanag and some credit to Tanag is that they're still on this project phase, or transition phase. So for us, whereas for us, we've been there and done that. We're in a phase where
they are
we just need
they
to
they are
now.
they are in this transition, mate. But at the same time, they're spending 200 million
Yeah, I mean,
every
no, I mean,
time.
yeah,
We didn't get to do that. You know what I mean?
for sure.
So
I mean, it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to give someone a transition credit when they're able to spend this much money each summer. But the, but
and they
that but
still
that's that
protest.
that's what they are. That's what they are. So I
Yeah.
mean,
So yeah, I
I've
hear your
always said
point
that.
though. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hear your point. It's a new manager. He's come to the country. United were in absolute disarray before, but my thing is, Mo, is that look, I wrote off top 4 a long time ago. I think most Liverpool fans did. So if we do miss out on it by a point or 4 points, because it's got potential to be 4 points if they win their game in hand and we win all our 3. Um, if whatever it is, if it's less than 6, right, at the end, wow, because this is our worst season on the Jurgen Klopp. It won't get worse than this. I said that in 2021. There were so many different reasons why that season was disastrous. I don't even want to go into that right now. But in terms of like you've actually
I
got
guess.
a squad. It's not going to get worse than this, and they're barely ahead of us in the table. And this has supposedly been like their comeback season. United are back. Ten Hag's done this. Ten Hag's done that. Yeah, we now have a chance, and look, it's a small chance, but it's a chance of finishing above them.
Yeah, I guess the reason why is because the reason why we wouldn't say 2021 the season wasn't as bad, because once our players got injured, there was a kind of general expectation consensus that we weren't going to win the league, and everyone was
Yeah,
ready for it. Everyone was expecting it. Whereas if this season, I mean, quite fairly, I mean, when you think of we sent an 85 million pound striker, and we just came for a good triple charge. I mean, the natural inclination was that we would challenge again. I mean, and rightly so. And we came to we also had British. So when we go from that to being languishing in 8 and 7 and getting battered by Wolves and Brian, etc., that's quite a fundamental shock to all of us. So for us, it's definitely been the worst season on the club, full stop, categorically. And
100%.
and and and, and also we've got the luxury saying we actually finished third 2 years back in that season. So
Oh
by far
God.
this season, this season has been the worst season, no doubt in my mind about that. But
Yeah.
if yeah, go
Go
on.
on. No, you
I
finish.
was
I
gonna
thought you
say,
finished.
yeah. Just if we're able to somehow secure top 4, I can't even underestimate how much momentum that gives us going into the new season in terms of we're able to not only secure and also adapt to this new season that Klopp's trying to insert, we're able to sign the right players or go for the right targets with the extra confidence. Because for me, I feel like we still be able to attract a relative. We still have that pull because of our success in a few years and the club we are. We still have that pull to sign top world class players. But I just feel like it gives us that extra edge if we're able to get that Champions League, and also just the momentum it gives us in the season. Like you look at perhaps I don't know other clubs, right? Maybe City in 2019-20 when we won the league title. They after the post lockdown they won on a decent run at the last few fixtures when they beating us and being Brighton 5-0 etc. They won on a good run for the last few games of the season, and it took that momentum into the new season in my opinion. So if we're able to just secure the style of new playing, adapt to this way of playing, and take that momentum into the new season. I mean, for me, I genuinely believe if we're able to target the right weakness, which is a midfielder, perhaps a centre back, a midfielder and a centre back, if we're able to sign the right players, and also the players that we have now able to step. Also, for me, there is no doubt in my mind that we can't. Why can't we challenge next season? Because if we're able
Mhm.
to this 12-game unbeaten run, and then also add the quality we need and target the weaknesses in the squad. For me, targeting challenging next season won't be an issue for me in my opinion.
100%, mate. And I said the same thing after that 2021 season, to be fair. And I'm saying it again now. You know, that we've seen enough in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 games, you know, and I'm confident we'll win the last 3 as well. To show that with this new system, which we may touch on in a bit, we'll be fine and we'll be up there. You know, we are making changes. We are looking for recruitment. We have decided to not sign Jude Bellingham, which, you know, it hurts, but in hindsight, and hindsight is a wonderful thing. This team needs more than a Jude Bellingham, and I would still have preferred to get Jude Bellingham because that's a player that I love. That's a player that, you know, no matter what, I would still like when he's at Real Madrid, even though it pains me to say that. And I'm sure if we come up against Real Madrid in the Champions League, it's going to be horrible watching him play against us. But you know, we are going to sign 3 or 4 players. That is a guarantee. And just before I get into one of the main players, because we are going to move on to the biggest, our new biggest transfer story of the window, because obviously Jude's gone. We've moved on to somebody else. We're going to get through some comments. Vex Blazer, thanks for joining the stream, mate. Says, don't see United winning 3 out of 4 there. Wolves, Chelsea, Fulham, all tough games. 100% Fulham is definitely tough. They gave City a really good game the other night, didn't they? So that's going to be a tough one. Don't see them getting 9 points there, 7 max. And if we win our last games, we get top 4. Look, I said it and I'll say it again. All we can do is our job and see where we are after that Southampton game. Eunice Big Up says Wolves, Bournemouth, and Fulham are all on the beach. Unfortunately, just need 2 United draws. That is true, to be fair. And look,
That's a very good point.
but the thing is, mate, like, I don't think anyone's like expecting to get top 4. It's more of a hope at this stage, and it's not in our hands now. That's what we have to remember. It's completely out of our hands. So at this stage, like, the pressure isn't actually on us in a sense. It's on United, because if they let this slip, that is one of the biggest calamities in their club's history in the last 5 years or so, because they've been in that
For
top
us,
4. They've been second or
I mean,
third all season long. So for them to
I mean,
drop out of it now would be a disgrace.
for me, I mean, I've already got my win from the season, which was the way we're playing right now. I mean, that's my trophy for the season, this new system and the way we're playing right now. That's my trophy, and we're able to win the next 3 games.
This man right here, mate, number 66,
Exactly,
the
bro.
main
That
man.
for me to
What a
to
player.
go 11, 12 games unbeaten in the back end of the season, to and it's not like a coincidence or some sort of luck. It's because we've changed things. We've actually changed things,
Yeah.
and so if we're able to do that, for me, that would be the trophy that I have for this season, as weird as it sounds. And so for me, I've already secured what I want from this season, which is a change. I mean, how often will we hearing from people? I mean, some unfair criticism also of Klopp, or how when is Klopp going to change things? But legitimately, credit Klopp, he's identified being the one-task manager what we can do
Yeah.
to almost mitigate the weaknesses and adapt to the players we have, and he's done that, and it looks successful right now. We're keeping the clean sheets now, back-to-back clean sheets. We're scoring a plethora of goals. I mean, the 1 goal in the last 2 games, but we should have scored way more anyway. But and now we also look confident. The intensity back, the application is back. So we look like a very, 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 very good team right now. So that for my wins from season, getting top 4 would be insane. Would be an absolute incredible achievement. So for me, I've got what I wanted, and you're right. The pressure is on you now. I mean, we'll see how Bournemouth. We see how. For me, I think Bournemouth away is will be a challenge. But I just hope, because I feel like Man United Chelsea form goes out the window in that game. So hopefully we'll see what happens there. And also
100%.
Fulham, Mitchell Rich be back, Marcus Silva. You know, Marcus Silva is a fierce competitor. I don't know if you guys saw him on the touchline against Fulham, but he's an absolutely fierce competitor. So there's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. Last day of the season, revenge, etc., etc. There's no way Fulham will be on the beach for that game, in my opinion. So we'll see. I mean, for me, the great thing is that we've created an opportunity, because regardless of everyone saying United slipping, the reason why we're in the halfway top is because of us too. We've created this opportunity for ourselves, so we deserve credit for that also.
100%. And I agree with Pedro. Finishing strong will help recruitment, because it would tell everyone this was just a blip, and next season we'll be back challenging. I don't think football players are stupid, Pedro. I feel, obviously, on Twitter and the way, social media is these days, it's all about banter and clicks and doing those kind of things. And some people will think, oh, Liverpool won't be able to sign these players, everyone's going to reject them. Even if we were in the Europa League or Conference League, or not in any of them, apart from the likes of Jude Bellingham and Mbappe, those kind of caliber of players, we will be able to sign our targets. We'll be able to sign Mason Mount if we want him. We'll be able to sign Mac Allister if we want him. We're Liverpool. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. And just one season out of European football or the Champions League, whatever it may be, that's not going to change anything. So I agree with what you're saying, though, to be fair. Eunice says, which game is harder, Villa at home or Leicester away is 100% harder for me, because they're fighting for their life.
Yeah,
I 100%
I
think Leicester away is harder.
Yeah, Leicester away under the lights, and I mean we've struggled. I mean,
The potential
have
banana skin, man.
we struggled at Leicester in recent years? I feel like we have. We lost that game in 2021, where we scored a Salah goal and then they scored 3 late goals and come back
Oh
and
yeah.
honest mistakes. The year after, when we were in good form, I mean, we had a blip
Do you
that
remember the
period.
draw as well when we was going for the title in 18-19 where Maguire scored? He should have been sent off.
Yes, no, but that was at home. I think that was at home, Danford one.
Was that home?
The
Oh
yeah, that he back post. Yeah, I think it was Robertson gave away a free kick and then they scored.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a home anyway. I might be wrong. But then
Yeah, no, but you're right. I think
so I mean,
we have.
it's definitely gonna be a different game, because what are they fighting for? I mean, Villa right now could get Conference League, etc. But at home, we did play quite well against Villa a few weeks ago. So, but then
I
let's get
think
away
fighting to stay up will make you stronger than fighting to get
one
Conference League.
hundred 100%. And the thing about Leicester is that he still possess that individual quality. James Maddison, James Vardy, one moment can still kill us and hurt us. So
Is this true?
and
I'm gonna get the head-to-head record.
yeah, I mean, I think that could be true actually, because we did lose in 21. We did lose. I mean, we did lose in 22. We've lost the last 2 games away at Leicester. That's a fact. So
Easy. Here we go.
yeah.
Yeah. So, can you guys see this?
Yeah. Insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So we lost. Wait, is this is Leicester losing, isn't it? So Leicester lost at Anfield in December. They lost at Anfield in February, but they won, like you say, at King Power in
That was a
21.
look. More the look. Salah missed the penalty that game, and Lookman scored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we beat them at
Yeah.
Anfield. We lost again at the King Power in 21.
Yeah. That was a crazy game.
Oh, yeah, so you're right. Like that is interesting. But we'll get to that, guys. We want to move on. But big up for whoever was speaking about that. Just before we do move on to midfielder talk, mate, because there is a main guy that we need to discuss. I want to talk about Mo Salah, because I think, I always believe in, if you're going to criticize a player when they're not performing, you need to make sure that when they are performing, do you need to go and get your thing now?
No. I'm good.
Oh,
But
I thought that beep was telling you need to go get something. So yeah, I'm just
yeah.
gonna get this up, mate, and we're just gonna talk about this briefly. If you can see, I'll zoom in as well. I just want to read these milestones out, and then we'll discuss them. So against Brentford, Mo Salah reached some milestones. I saved this one till last. He moved up to joint 5th on our all-time goal-scoring list, matching Steven Gerrard in 186 goals. His 100th goal at Anfield, only the 8th player to reach 100 goals. And he also scored his 30th goal of the competition. And, the likes of myself and plenty of others have said that Mo Salah hasn't had his best of seasons. So I think, like I said, it's very important that when you are criticizing a player, because Mo Salah this season has had months and periods of the season where we've kind of needed him and he's not really been there. But at the same time, in the last 6 games, the last 10 games, he's scored, I think, 9 or 10 goals back to back to back to back to back at Anfield. And he is delivering again. He is, proving that, likes of myself and other people that have criticized him this season, that, he's not going anywhere. He's still scoring 30 goals a season. He's still getting over 10 assists a season. He's a special player. And I think, like I say, some of the criticism at times has been warranted. Yeah, it has been deserved. But also, I think some people do forget how special of a football player he is and how special those numbers are. Because obviously, we've got Erling Haaland that's just come into the Premier League, who's just absolutely smashed Mo Salah's goal scoring record. We've had all these other players that have scored goals. But to get 19 goals minimum every single season you've been at a football club is incredible. His work rate is incredible. The way he looks after himself is incredible. And Mohamud, he is the Egyptian king. And I don't want to get political on this stream, but in a game where they tried to do whatever they did at the start of the game to celebrate a king, which I'm not going to get into that. But we celebrated the true king of Liverpool right now. Obviously, Kenny Dalglish is the king, and he will always be the king. And I don't think anybody will take that crown of him being the king. But Mo Salah is our Egyptian king, and we celebrated him, and it was a brilliant goal. I mean, Van Dijk did a brilliant knockback. Salah scores, and to be fair, I thought it was going to be disallowed. I thought there was a foul in there somewhere. I saw Virgil wasn't really celebrating. I think he told some of the players, don't celebrate yet. Let's wait and see. But then he got given. And Mo Salah absolutely smashed his record. And yeah, when you look at the charts of how many games he's done this in as well, it's absolutely crazy because you've got some players that obviously have like 100 more goals than him, but they've also played like 300 more games than Mo Salah. Mo Salah has done all of this. In fact, let me get the exact stats up. It's just been a breaking news TAT tweet as well, as I am live, which is lovely. We'll get into that in a minute. But let's have a look. Let's see if we can find. Here we go. So this is from lfchistory.net, a brilliant website if you want to look at your Liverpool history. Let me take the comment off the screen so you guys can see it better. If you listen on Spotify, this is why you need to start tuning into our YouTube streams, because we get stuff on the screen for you guys to look at. So you can see Ian Rush is obviously top. I don't think anybody's ever going to beat him. 346 goals, but look at the appearance of 660. And that is no discredit to Ian Rush, because that is a brilliant record. That's almost 1 goal in 2 games. Brilliant record. Roger Hunt, Gordon Hodgson, Billy Liddell. Now, I'm not going to say factually because I don't know. I don't 100% know this for sure. But some of those guys would have scored goals for Liverpool when we were in the 2nd division. I'm not exactly sure who, and I'm not exactly sure how many it would have been. But again, there's no discredit to them. They're all Liverpool legends, all contributed to the club in their own way. But Mo Salah on 186 in 302 games is absolutely ridiculous. In 24,000 minutes as well. That's half the minutes of Billy Liddell. It's mad. It's mad. And yeah, we're lucky to have him, aren't we, to be fair? Like I say, we've all criticised him this season. We've all given him a bit of stick. We've all said, you know what, we need a bit more from Mo Salah. But at the end of the day, cream, it will always rise to the top. And Mo Salah will always do what he does. And Mo Salah will always prove people wrong when you think he's down and out. He'll go and score 30 goals and just make everyone look like idiots. So, yeah, I think as well there was a comparison to it's funny looking back at it now. The Aubameyang situation at Arsenal or Chelsea, where they signed the contract for big money. It was at Arsenal. He signed the contract for big money, and then there's a bit of a downfall. And obviously, that was just so exaggerated by rival fans and Liverpool fans. But it's funny to look
I
at
mean,
that
I think
now.
I'm
Just before
pretty.
I let Mo go, just before I let you go, mate, Jamie Phillips, big up, mate. Everyone go check out Jamie Phillips Football Chats. Subscribe. You might even see me on there in the future because I have been on the stream with Jamie recently. So big up, mate. Thanks for tuning in. Mo, talk about Mo Salah, mate. Give us your
Yeah,
thoughts.
I was just quickly gonna say. I remember seeing a tweet. I forgot someone said it, but they were like they were comparing the Salah situation to Aubameyang, where they were saying, "Oh, I wouldn't be surprised." I
Oh,
think everyone, I think people gave a mistake to. It was a mistake to give Salah a new contract the same way um, the same way Arsenal gave Aubameyang the contract. Aubameyang ended up Fulham. But I mean that was the biggest false equivalence I've seen in a long time because the scenarios are not even remotely comparable. We talk about an Arsenal team that were collapsing, that were already horrible, that were already bad. Are you looking at a Liverpool team that, despite the season, it's not really proving our point, but that's what Liverpool team has super business quality, and also the most important thing is that Salah never lost the application. Salah never had that intensity issue. I mean, the one player we can never fault in terms of putting their all in is Salah. I mean, I've never seen him not willing to press or walking around the pitch or having attitude problems or coming late to training or getting fined. I mean, when have you ever heard a story come out about Salah? I mean, we've heard of stories before, so
never.
the scenarios are not even remotely comparable. So that's one reason why it's worth giving Salah a contract because you know he's never going to let you down. And then when it comes to actual football and quality, I mean, Salah's a world apart in terms of consistency and goal scoring ability and playmaking ability and ability of I mean, they're two different, completely plays on different level. And it's crazy. Season after season, we're having to talk about Salah breaking an insane record. I mean, to be our top six scorers of all time in
That's
like how
crazy.
many minutes? I mean, and look at the minutes played on that ratio. Like, it's insane to me. Like,
Mo, when we signed him as well, yeah, I had no idea. Like, obviously, I think he scored like 15 goals for Fiorentina and Roma, which is good. But I had no idea he was a goal scorer. I thought he was going to be more of like a run down the wing, put it into the box
yeah,
kind of winger. But
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
he's
yeah.
done, mate, is just
I
absolutely
mean,
ridiculous.
it's credit to the way this. I mean, it's so weird how this all worked out because Firmino wasn't a club signing, Salah wasn't even a club signing really and truly, and Mane was signing
He got
all
on
these three
Julian
players.
Brandt, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean that's all these
Mm,
players. He went to Guts also apparently, but all these three just
mm.
came together at the right time to produce the best front three, in my opinion, the Premier League's ever seen. I don't think of a better front three in terms of
I
five
agree with that.
years of sheer world class. And you talk about an elite player in Salah, an elite player Mane, an elite player in Firmino, and Salah being I mean, you can say the star of the main star of all of them. So it's quite remarkable. Like all the minutes there, everyone's starting with like a 5 or 4-3. You just have a star Salah as the one starting over two. I mean, Robbie Fowler's I mean credit him. Robbie Fowler's record is quite insane too. But yeah, insane, insane, insane.
100%. And I'm just going to go into Super Tiger's comment before we move on. Keep the same energy with all players when praising and criticizing. Be aware that pundits, etc., have a disliking of your team. They will always downplay your players' performances and exaggerate criticisms. Now, for me personally, mate, I'm a level-headed Liverpool fan. I go to games, I support the team whenever I can, and yeah, there's no bias, there's no agendas from myself. If a player plays well, fantastic. If a player plays well, I'll be there to criticize them. I absolutely love Darwin Núñez, and I don't want to get into him now because there's not enough time. But again, I've had to criticize him. Brentford, there was 2 chances he should have scored from. I'm happy to do that. If a player needs to be criticized, it doesn't mean you don't like the player or you're writing them off. It's just fair criticism. And like I say, Mo Salah has had a bit of that this season, but he's also, like Mo said, he's kept going. He's stuck to what he does best, and that's scoring goals. And now he scored
And
30 of
and
them yet
and,
again.
and
So
the most important thing about what makes elite plays elite, what makes great players elite. There's a certain intangible, a certain metric people can't really quantify in terms of numbers. Is the ability to keep performing in spite of the adversity face. I mean, people forget Salah in 2020, 21, when we had that horrible with all the injuries. I mean, he was our one mainstay. I mean, Mane and Firmino weren't great players that season. The rest of the team weren't great players this season. Salah and Alisson were perhaps the only constant. I mean, Trent wasn't amazing either that season. It was Salah and Alisson, and Salah plays with his goal scoring 22 Premier League goals as he's to fight us to top four. I mean, even this game. I mean, whether we like it or not, back-to-back games, 1-0 wins. Who scored both of them? It's Salah who scored both of them. So this is a player
mhm.
who, in spite of everything, in spite of adversity, he's
Also,
the
as
player.
well, you got to remember he missed some penalties as well. So to have the the ice cold and is running
It's
through
to
his
keep
veins
going back,
to
and
put the
and
penalty
he
away.
ends up scoring back to back penalty. So it's for me, you can never doubt. You can never doubt Salah's quality. I mean,
100%.
what makes great players great is their ability to keep going and also change his game a little bit. I mean, the Salah this season and Salah from 2018 are not the same players in my opinion. I mean, Salah's heat map year on year has become more progressively wider, wider, wider. And for us, me personally, I'd rather Salah still be direct and inside, but for me, he's still playing a fantastic high level. I mean, last season he picked up the playmaker award, acquiring the most assists. So he's been able to change and adapt his game and also be that playmaker, but also still have that ruthless in front of goal. So
Mm.
it's
But
been insane.
yeah, no, 100%. We're gonna move on, mate, to something else. I'm just gonna put a tweet out. Um, Here we go. Just try to get some people in because everyone loves transfer talk, don't they? Like I said, we have a new main midfield target. It seems we've shifted our attentions in the summer window, which is about to be open probably like a month, isn't it? Liverpool have presented their. This is a while back from Fabrizio. This is a few days ago. Liverpool have presented their project and also financial proposal to Alexis Mac Allister. The club will insist in the next week's discussions advancing, but no agreement yet. Feeling remains Alexis will 100% leave Brighton, and it will be early, and it will be May or June. We've just got another one as well before we get into that. Alexis Mac Allister's going to leave Brighton. Oh, sorry, it's pretty much the same tweet. It's just from us. It's this one I wanted to get up. There's no changes on Alexis Mac Allister and the situation for his future. He's expected to leave Brighton early this summer, and that is key, and we'll get onto that as well. Liverpool are advancing after they made a bid/presented project. That's interesting to players' camp. There's still nothing agreed or done yet on the club side, despite reports. I think there was one nonsense report coming from Italy that we'd reached an agreement or something like that. But yeah, it's not true. But mate, what are your thoughts? We've not spoken since we've been. I think we kind of thought we'd go for him a while back, but since this interest has been concrete, we've not spoken, mate. So, what are your thoughts on
Yeah,
Mac Allister? Do you see him being a good fit for us in this way that we're playing right now?
for me, Mac Allister would be an incredible signing, and for me to just give a bit of context on Mac Allister, this is a player who's like Thiago, an elite technician, and for me, I've always said that for us to play the way we're playing now in the context of the way the Premier League is, we have to raise the technical level in our team. I mean, it's all good having incredible engines and incredible road runners and incredible pressing machines, but we have to raise our ability, our technical ability, and have more specialist technicians in the team. I mean, for we speak about Thiago's flaws and injuries, etc. But the one thing about Thiago that for me will always make him a good player to have in a squad, it's the fact that he still has that dual winning ability, that intensity, that application to win tackles, to go and press for 9 minutes. But he has the an insane technical ability and technique and on the ball. So for that makes us in possession when we're playing a low block or playing a team in mid block or dominating the ball 60 position. He can find that penetrative pass. He can keep the ball under pressure. He can press resistance. So
Yeah.
we have to raise the technical level. So we have to find more players like Thiago that can still do everything off the ball, on the ball that a club midfielder requires, but is also able to be that specialist on the ball. Because like like you look at Manchester City, you look at Arsenal, they have the players with the engines, but they also have technicians, and that makes them an incredible team on the ball. And we have to find technicians also. I mean, that's why Bellingham would have been a fantastic, because Bellingham arguably has had both sides of the game. But McAllister, to play for a Robert De Zerbi team, you have to have intensity and application anyway. The way they press the ball and the way they set triggers and the way they chase after opponents. I mean, they're arguably second to none. I mean, maybe second to none to the old Liverpool, perhaps. But I mean, Pep has praised him in a similar way. So for me, a McAllister signing would be an incredible signing. I mean, I'm just worried about the price, because we all know how Brian are with this. I mean, they don't sell players for cheap, so it would be interesting to see
Yeah.
how that works. But yeah, an incredible signing for me personally.
Yeah, that is interesting because I think there was a report from David Ornstein a couple of days ago where there is some sort of clause in the contract that he signed pre-World Cup, but that
Yes.
he's not entirely sure what it is. He's not entirely sure if it's a traditional release clause. But what he did say is it's a clause that would allow him to leave in the summer, and it would be easier to help them facilitate a move. Now, again, nobody really knows what that clause is, but there is something in there which would suggest, like you say, Brighton are open to letting him go. The question is, how much? And I think the realistic figure is about 60, 65. I think anything more than that, I'm not entirely sure if it's worth it, to be honest. He's an incredible player. I've seen the guy play 3 times in the flesh. Unfortunately, I went to the FA Cup game this season as well at the Amex. Really good
Yeah, it
to,
was
I'm
a
really
yeah.
grateful to get to a few aways this season, thanks to a really good lad that I know. But the result was terrible and he was amazing. And he's been amazing every time I've seen him play against us. And he's ran the show. And I know people say, oh, it's not hard to run the show against Liverpool's midfield. Like, come on, man. Is that what we're using as a metric? Like, for me, it would be a brilliant signing. And I think there is that argument where some people would say, I don't care if it's that much, it's not my money, etc. But yeah, I agree with you, mate. I'm not sure what the max is that we would go to, especially when there's other players like Mason Mount and Ryan Gravenberch that seem to keep being linked with us. But I would go all in on him. I'd make him the marquee signing, or like for at least the midfield. I agree with what you say about Thiago. Thiago's an absolutely phenomenal player. We all know how good Thiago is. We won't see many players come into this Liverpool club that are as technically good as him. However, there is a huge concern there on the availability, and that's always been the issue with him and Naby Keita and a couple of others. So if you get Mac Allister in, again, he's not Thiago yet. He's only 24, so a long way to go in his career. But what we are doing is we're getting another left-sided centre mid, and I believe that's where he'll play. And that takes the workload off Thiago in what's probably going to be his final year. I can't see him getting a new deal. Then you can play one of them in the league, one of them in the cup, one of them in whatever European competition we're in, one of them in the league. You've got that option now, whereas before, last season, the COVID season, even this season, Thiago's been great. But then when he inevitably gets injured for 5 or 6 games, what's the solution now? Where do we go from here? And I know the argument's going to be we need a 6, we need a right centre mid. I 100% agree, and I 100% want the same. But I also believe that getting somebody in that can play that left centre mid role, that can play 30 out of 38 games in a Premier League campaign, I think that's equally as important. And like you say, mate, the technical ability that this lad has is insane. There was a comment from Mohamud saying about how good he was against Man United. I completely agree. Against Man United, he was absolutely incredible. And yeah, I think it would be a brilliant signing for us. And, hopefully we get it over the line. And I think we will. I think there's so much smoke behind this one. There's Argentinian reporters coming out. There's Fabrizio Romano. David Ornstein keeps name dropping him. Even Paul Joyce said that he was top of our list. But yeah, I agree, mate. And just before we get on to the director of football chat, there's this tweet, Mohamud, which I'm going to come to you for. This has just gone out now as we were live. Liverpool is looking for Nicolo Barella. That's interesting wording. They came to watch him versus Lazio. I don't know if he will sign, but Liverpool is one of the more interested clubs. What do you think of that, mate?
I mean, Barella's always been like, I don't know why, he's always felt like a career mode center because we never had any credible links, but everybody in their head thinks that it's got to be an amazing player. So it's been to get a credible link, and Damaso is quite reliable in the game for that whole Mina Raiola debacle, but he is normally a reliable journalist.
Yeah, I
So
remember that.
yeah, so
That was
let's see.
bad.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I mean, respect to the journalist. Yeah, he's a reliable journalist. So, I don't know. I mean, for me, I always lean off of getting too invested in this kind of wedding because it's the kind of wedding that it's almost paper talk in the sense that Liverpool is on the radar for this, but it doesn't actually use any of those sentiment or assertive words. It's just that he's one of their targets or kind of thing. Whereas like a Mac Allister thing, where we know that's 100% we're going for him. It's just more of a generic kind of Liverpool's looking for this. So, but we'll see, man. Barella, for me, Barella again. I mean, no doubt in my mind, a world class player, a world class technician, a world class engineer. He absolutely looks like he wants to die for Inter Milan. It was incredible against us last season. So, for me, a player again that'd be absolutely perfect for us. But
What do
yeah,
you think of Luke's
not.
comment, mate? Do you think we could get him out of Italy?
That's something. It almost feels impossible because this is a player that looks like he looks like he will die for
Those
Inter.
Italians don't really leave
Yeah,
Italy that often. Yeah. I mean, it would cost a lot. I think, to be fair, I think I saw a while back they wanted like 50, 60 million. And how old is he? Is he like 26?
Yeah, he's quite young. He's quite young. Yeah.
26, yeah. He was picked in February. So, yeah, I mean, you've got him for 5, 6, 7 years. So it would be a good investment. You know, it seems to fit that sort of sweet spot. When I say the sweet spot with our transfers, our big transfers, it's usually around 50, 60 million. You look at our transfers down the years, and Nabicators, Fabinho's, Darwin Núñez, Virgil van Dijk. If you average them all, I'm guessing it would come to 55, 60 million. So it seems to hit that sweet spot. Same as McAllister. Somebody mentioned Mason Mount. I'm sure that would be a similar fee as well. But yeah, it's all up in the air, mate. And also something that's up in the air, which we are going to finish talking about, is this. And I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. I'm going to try. Liverpool expected to appoint George. I don't know, mate. Schmad. Can you do it? Can you say that name?
No, I can't. I
George
can't.
Schmatek. I just call him George. Yeah? George. His name's George. As the club's new sporting director. Again, there was a conflicting report today at some stage, or was it
Yeah,
yesterday?
something about like a
Saying that,
temporary consulting.
yeah,
Yeah.
like an interim sort of sporting director. So, what do you make of that, mate? Do you know anything about this
I mean,
guy or what? Like,
I guess. I mean, to be honest, I think it was one of those tabloids that reported it. Oh, I mean, to be fair, it was the Guardian. So I mean, the Guardian and the Telegraph. But for me, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense if it was temporary because we do need a sweat. There's no doubt in my mind. He's what the club knows him, etc. So that might be the connection and link as to why he's coming, and also he's not really well established. So a temporary concern might make sense, but for me, I mean, I'd always rather continuity and stability when it comes to these kind of signings. Is someone that will take a long-term vision, a long-term plan, a long-term direction. That's what made us so good. Always having that. I mean, that's why we always got to, Liverpool are not signing anyone because you know our targets. We're going to get them that long-term vision. So for me, it would be
yeah.
quite concerning to hire someone temporary. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is definitely we need to look at for this window. There is a bit of again a bit of confusion on Twitter as to say who's going to be in charge of the window. Is it going to still be Julian Ward overseeing the transfers that are coming in? Because we all know discussions will be ongoing now. So based on that logic, if conversations are going on, expect Julian Ward to be leading those conversations because again we don't have a sporting director yet, a new one. Unless Jurgen Klopp and Pep Lingers are doing the conversations themselves, who knows what's going on. Mo's just popped away for a minute, but yeah, it is interesting. Again, I've not heard of this guy. I've seen a few funny reports about him, about some of his antics when at games and some of his conversations with officials and stuff like that. I was literally coming home on the train from the game the other day, and it came through on my phone. And I was like, who the heck is he? A bit like the old Conor McGregor meme. But yeah, again, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to talk about because I don't know much about him at all. But I'm not going to be one of these guys that just sit there and, shout about it because I don't know the guy. He could go and make someone real signings for us. And I don't want to be sat here at the end with egg on my face because I've shouted at him when I don't know anything about him, and then we go and sign some really good players. So let's see what happens. I think I've said this before. The only way we can fairly, discuss what's happening in the summer is when the window shuts. If the window shuts and we've only signed one centre mid, maybe a centre back, that's not good enough. But we won't know until the window's shut. There's no point having those conversations now because we could, like next week, there could be 3 centre mids that Paul George just drops on us that are about to sign for the club. We don't know. So the best thing to do is just wait and see. And we're going to finish with this comment from Maz Valise. Big up, mate. McAllister, Ugarte, Barella, Gravenberch. Is that who you want? Because that is that's probably not going to happen, mate. I can't lie to you. My personal opinion is, and this isn't based on anything that TAT or myself have been told, I think it's going to be McAllister. I think he's looking like he's going to sign. I think Mason Mount, and I think Ryan Gravenberch. Just the three that we keep hearing. I think are going to sign. There could be a curveball because, you know, Liverpool do like to keep their business under wraps, and one of them could be a smokescreen for somebody else. I would fully, you know, not be surprised if that happens. Say Mason Mount doesn't sign and we go and sign somebody else. That would not surprise me in the slightest. But we'll see. We'll see, guys. But yeah, I wanted to wrap this up before the Champions League football, before hopefully Real Madrid beat Man City. So me and Mo are going to leave you guys to it. And make sure you tune in for the next stream, guys. It will be after probably the Leicester game. We'll try and do it on the night to have some direct conversations about the game with you guys straight after the match. I think that's always the best way to do it. But there's 18 of you in here, guys. Please make sure you smash the like button on the way out. Thank you for joining us. Thank you if you tuned in from the start or if you came in the last 10 minutes. We appreciate it all. Big up to Mo for coming back for after a long time. But guys, take care and we'll see you next time.
Pleasure.